Hi class, this is your teacher here. We're talking about Project 4 and we have taken the template from the Illustrator file, we've made it a smart object and we've brought it into Photoshop. The file that is has been emailed to you is called Design100 Project 4 Template Photoshop PSD. You can see it right there. So when you get that in your email, you're going to click and drag it and bring it over to the Photoshop icon, which is right there. The next thing you're going to do is I want you to notice that there are several layers here, okay? There is your artwork, and that is actually blank at the moment. There's template, which is going to be the template that you see here, okay? That's from the Illustrator file. And you can tell it has a smart object because it has this little tiny square right here, which means it has a link to Illustrator. And then the background, and the background is just plain white in this case, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in your artwork. And so the way you do that is you take a photo or scan it and you email it to yourself, and here's my email. And I have that image up and ready, and you just click and you drag it into your file and it pops up. And so I'm going to scooch this over, okay? And so that's what we have. Now it's really large right now, and you can see how big it is, right? And so we need to scale it down. So the second step is to scale it. You can do it one of two ways. One is a shortcut, one is the long way around. The long way is to press Edit, Transform, and then go to Scale. And the shortcut way is to press Command T, and that bounding box comes up in either case. Now, you can alter the scale of that bounding box willy-nilly, and it's going to change the dimensions of it, the ratio of it. That's no good. I'm going to back it up to the original. Okay. Or you can control it. You can control the scale by pressing Shift while you click and drag it, and you can see that when I bring my arrow tool, this is your best friend. That arrow tool is your best friend, this guy right here, okay? And you can click and drag it by putting your arrow to the very corner, and you can see that it turns into a diagonal arrow. So you want to click and drag it while you press Shift. Now to get it to go to scale and stay in place, which may not make sense to you right now, but believe me, it's an easier thing to do. Then you're going to press Shift, Option, and click and drag your bounding box. I'm going to do that now. It's going to be a little bit awkward since I'm holding the phone. Let's see how I can do it. Okay, so you didn't see that, but I clicked and dragged and kept it in place, and you can see that it's sort of centered on the image, and that's what the option does for us. Then what I want to do is when I'm happy with the scale, I'm going to press Enter or Return, same thing, okay? And then that size is what we're going to be working with from there, okay? Then we want to, what you may want to do before this step is to actually click and drag this layer underneath the template. And to do that, you go over to your layers, you click your artwork, and you drag it underneath the template, just like that. And do you see what has happened? Now it's underneath that template. That's going to make things easier. Now you can take this and you can put it right in that template, and you can look at it for scale. So that looks pretty good. Now, we want to get rid of all this extra stuff around here. But we also have two images and we want to separate them. So we're going to have to actually separate those images first. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on this. So you select it, right? And you're going to press Command C, and then you're going to go Command V, and look what happens. So now we have two layers, okay? with an identical image. So you see this as your artwork and your artwork. One of them is one image and one of them is the other. So look, see how I'm going to click on the eyeball? The eyeball is going to show the image or hide the image. When I click on that second one down, the right hand disappears. And when I click on the third one down, the left one disappears. So let's deal with the left one first. I want to make sure that I'm working on that layer, so I'm going to click on that layer. Do you see how the light gray is now selected that spot? That means I'm working in that layer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the marquee tool right here. It's also called the marching ants tool, or the ants marching tool. And I'm going to erase some of this extra superfluous information. So I'm clicking on this top area and I'm going to press delete. And now I'm going to press this part and I'm going to press delete. And I deleted a little bit too much on that side because I'm holding the phone at the same time, but it's okay. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay? And press delete. Voila! Now we've got our little guy in that one spot. Now let's get the other guy up there. So we're going to come over here, we're going to press on the eyeball, and we're going to make sure that we go to this one so that we know that we're working with the right one. And I'm going to put this guy, I'm going to move him, I've clicked onto this, which allows me to move this, and I'm going to move him over. Okay. And now I'm going to do this, I can do the same thing with that marquee tool. Okay. So that is going to yield your two figures, and it's going to get you set up for altering the look of each one of those figures. Okay. And we'll just get it to that point, and then I'll start a new video after that. All right, and that's where we're at. You always want to save it, and if you're working on a school computer, you don't want to save it to the desktop. You want to save it and then email it to yourself, because once you log out, that file disappears.